Our guest today in the interview, Lilian Thuram, also known as Tutu, or the philosopher, perhaps because of his glasses, but probably because of his being very strongly vocal on certain issues, such as the inner city troubles in 2005. He is also one of the most praised football personalities in France, who retired last year. Good day, Lilian Thuram, and welcome to France 24.
Good day.
I'm going to talk about something else. You were born in Pointe-à-Pitre, and we'd like to talk about Guadeloupe. Do you believe that we are now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? I know that you're following up on this problem, and you believe that the LKP movement will win out on most of the issues.
Well, I hope so, quite sincerely. It's true that it's been a long time since the crisis began, and it has taken us a long time to get interested in Guadeloupe. I think most people understand the situation today and agree with the movement, support the movement. And I hope that in a few hours' time, or in a few days' time, the LKP will be able to suspend the strike.
Do you think that this is going to change things in the long term, because the economic and social situation in Guadeloupe is a throwback to older periods with families, descendants of slave owners still having control over the economic system, and this is something we discovered, and this is quite hallucinating.
It's true that it seems dramatic, the situation, but I think the most beautiful thing is that today we know exactly what Guadeloupe represents, what life is like in Guadeloupe. People thought it was beaches, coconut trees, but the dramatic situation today shows that the Békés, the minority, control the economy and set the prices, and the central government, unfortunately, supports this situation.
Now, if the state, but not just this government, but all the previous governments, the government was unsuccessful in changing the situation in Guadeloupe. Why? Well, I mean, perhaps many people might end up saying Guadeloupe might actually or should become independent.
Perhaps, but that's not what most people want. The people of Guadeloupe are demonstrating against the high cost of living in the Caribbean, in the French Caribbean. The problems can only be solved in Paris, and there's a global economic crisis, and people want everybody to be aware of the unbearable situation in Guadeloupe, and that this should lead to political thinking, political reflection. There will be plenty of time for that.
Many people also believe that Guadeloupe is suffering from too much support with minimum welfare payments, too much support, and as a result they cannot they cannot develop a local economic system, because it's just too easy to live there with respect to or compared to Saint Lucia and other surrounding islands.
It's true that in people's imagination, a person from the Caribbean is a lazy individual who's on income support. But that's not reality. And we now know that a small number of families control the economy. But in fact, the people of Guadeloupe are no more assisted than the people of the rest of France. We shouldn't compare Guadeloupe with the neighboring islands, such as Haiti or the Dominican Republic. Guadeloupe should be compared with regions of France, quite simply. And when you look closer at the situation, you can see that Guadeloupe isn't one of the most assisted or subsidized parts of France. It's in the collective imagination of French people.
Someone called Nicolas Sarkozy. He actually wanted you to be part of the government, and he also wanted to have you at the Paris Saint-Germain. Now, you turned down all those offers because this was not in agreement with your thoughts, but did you actually turn down politics for good?
Well, I'm 37 today, and I don't know what the future has in store for me. For the moment, I say no to politics.
No to Sarkozy, or no to politics, or no to both?
No, of course, to being a member of the government, a minister. But each of us is politically active. Each of us has to think about the society in which we would like to live and about the society we would not like to live in.
Yeah, to make you think, but sometimes we also want to act.
Yes, I think each of us acts politically by voting and speaking out, and I think that acting is very important.
But for the time being, you're acting as a citizen. Now, as a member of the Council to Integration, we discovered that integration problems existed in France, as well as very serious integration problems in Guadeloupe among the youth.
Of course, you're absolutely right. There are problems of social integration in Guadeloupe, but this is due also to historic problems, to the historical heritage. We don't know the history of Guadeloupe very well. We don't accept the history of Guadeloupe, and there are lots of prejudices based on history, and to go beyond these prejudices, you have to think in the right way, and little by little we'll discover that the others have the same rights as you, whether you're in Guadeloupe or where you come from the suburbs of Paris. You say you have everything, but that's not true. We are not entitled to everything, and I am a member of a generation that says there is a problem.
In an interview to the Nouvel Observateur, you said you were not black. This was somewhat of a provocative statement. Let's not consider ourselves as white or blacks, and then we'll have one out. Now, the election of Barack Obama. Are you saying that we're heading in the right track, or perhaps we just talk too much about his ethnic background, the fact that he was black?
Jean-Marie Le Pen used to say there were too many black people in the French football team, and I said, no, I'm not black, I'm a Frenchman, and people should be judged on their nationality. And
talent comes first.
And also their nationality. But as regards Obama, it's fantastic what's happening in the United States. Look at the itinerary. Look at what he has achieved. Rosa Parks, 50 years ago, wasn't allowed to sit in parts of the bus that were reserved for whites. And 50 years on, the mindset of people have changed. People's imagination have changed. And now they can have elected a black president. So we have to work on this. We still have a vision of the world where we divide the world into black and white. And as we must not forget this. The President of the United States is a black man.
But we still have to experience this. This is a compulsory phase.
Yes, we must go through this. History has imprisoned us in this classification, black and white. And to transcend this, we have to change people's imagination. And the important word is, how do you imagine the other people, and how do you change your image of other people? And Obama has changed people's imagination and how they see other people.
Let's talk about football, soccer. The French team is in a low period. Now, why, in your opinion?
No, I don't think the French football team is off form at the moment. It's difficult to qualify for the World Cup finals, and so they're in a difficult group, and I hope the trainer will draw positive conclusions for the World Cup in South Africa.
Now, this is a highly politically correct answer.
No, in people's minds, people think that the French team should win every match, must dominate each group. But in the field, it's very difficult even to win against a team like Lithuania.
Well, the last year was not very satisfactory to many people. Symbolic things had to be done, change trainers or coaches. Was that not a mistake to maintain Dominic?
The Euro Championship was a catastrophe. I was there, so I know what I'm talking about, and I share some responsibility for what happened. And we always tend to criticize the trainer, but you mustn't forget that the players are out on the field, not the trainer. And I was out on the field, and we share a responsibility for what happened in the Euro Championship.
Now, talking about Euros, people are saying that you might be entrusted with a Euro 2016 project. It is said in
there are rumors to that effect.
Papers.
It would be a great pleasure for me to accept this offer, but I haven't received it yet.
The proposal still hasn't been made. Now, that's great. It's issued actually before the proposal is made. Is it still because of Sarkozy?
No.
Would you be interested in this kind of project?
Yes, it would interest me very much and would give me great pleasure.
Thank you very much, Lilian Thuram, for being with us today on France 24, and see you very soon. The news right after this, and on France24.com.